Hi, well, my name is Clark Rahman. So I am a cybersecurity consultant working for an MSSP called AGIO out of New York, but working remotely from Tampa, Florida. And a little bit about my journey in the cybersecurity space is I started out through the IT realm. So I built a foundation in the IT world through the military, in which I'm an actively serving Army reservist. And then I transitioned over into the cyber branch in 2015 when the Cyber Corps was announced through the Army. And when I did that, I actively went through a huge pipeline that the military put me through, and I gained experience and certifications in the cyber realm. And then I used that experience to then pursue a civilian career in the cybersecurity space to then get to where I'm at now within AGIO. Yeah, so the CEH caught my eye because it really is a technical certification, and there's not too many of those out there. You can look at certifications that ask you ABC and go into detail as to what you would do and what you wouldn't do in certain situations. But the CEH really applies technical knowledge to a foundation if you want to get into possibly penetration testing or whatever it may be. And it acts as a roadmap. So as you pursue your goals in cybersecurity and become more and more experienced, the CEH really builds a nice foundation and acts as one of the first or a pursuing road or stops on the roadmap per se that I really thought was interesting and looked at as a goal, right? So you set your goals and then you go to obtain them. And that's what I thought the CEH really did for me. So a lot of employers look for it, right? It's something that can improve your knowledge and your skill set. And it's something that is just, it's fun for me. So as I enjoyed cybersecurity space and obtaining my CEH and the process that went into that, I knew employers were looking for it, right? So it's just fun to be able to do, and then you know that it's going to reap some rewards in the end. Whether it could be in the DoD space as a contractor for the military or whatever it may be, a lot of employers look to see if there is a certification like a CEH under an individual's belt, and sometimes it may be required. So with that in mind, and something again that was fun to me, pursuing the CEH was certainly worth it for an employment standpoint. Yeah, within my organization, it's certainly recognized and more so in the industry. I'm not a specific penetration tester. I work on the compliance side as a consultant, but within my organization, we also offer penetration testing. And majority, if not all of those penetration testers have their CEH. So when it comes to the technical aspect of cybersecurity, it is certainly sought after. Not just within my organization, as I just gave an example of, but within other organizations, right? You read a job description for an analyst type role or even a penetration testing role, whatever it may be, CEH is most likely going to be listed in that job description. Yeah, certainly. Within whatever realm you're working in, CEH is a differentiator. So when employers are looking for what certifications you have, whatever role it is, they look for those basic certifications or your basic experience. And then if it goes outside that box of what's required within that role, organizations look for things like CEH or other certifications that aren't necessarily specifically within a job description. So as a consultant, CEH was not in my job description on an application, right? But it was something that I could easily talk to and certainly influences my skill set within what I do in a consulting realm. Yeah, so within a consulting role, it's not always the most technical, but you do need a technical knowledge to then speak on behalf for clients or an advisory standpoint. And so there are certifications in cybersecurity that deal specifically with auditing and compliance and whatever it may be. But then when you throw a certification like CEH into the mix, it really differentiates yourself to then be able to dive deeper into the technical knowledge and not just speak about it in a high level perspective. Organizations want to have more, maybe it be how to configure a certain setting within an application that they're using, right? So you want to be able to understand how that application works and what kind of technical aspects go behind that technology to either better prepare that organization and defend themselves, or just to be able to have a more automated process. And that's where the CEH really comes into play, to go into specifics on tool sets, configurations, and really get more into the weeds on those topics that aren't just from an auditing type standpoint. Yeah, in specific community involvement, I wouldn't say I get too involved when it comes from a CEH perspective. I conduct training among my military unit in terms of other soldiers being able to learn skill sets that the CEH really developed within me as a fundamental knowledge to then train them. But when it comes to actual community engagement, I haven't actually utilized anything within the CEH realm for that. So going through the program and obtaining that goal to then pass that certification, I like to do that in general, right? To set goals and then obtain those goals. So when I was preparing for the CEH and going about the technical knowledge skill set that it entails, going through and actually utilizing types of environments where you have a virtual environment and maybe it's a CTF, right? A capture the flag type event where you have to find things in an environment that is wide open. And so that practice and that skill set is really fun to be able to dive into the weeds and, break things, right? I like to fix things after I break them, but you also learn from that and not making that same mistake twice. So just conducting that actual engagement of hands-on keyboard time, technical skill set, and just breaking things to then fix them. And then, of course, obtaining that end goal of passing the certification was certainly a fun process. Yeah, certainly so. And the message would be thank you, because without an organization like EC Council that offers this type of certification and fundamental knowledge or roadmap, like we mentioned, these employers wouldn't really have too much of an understanding on or maybe how to vet applications or actually ask interview questions. So when an employer sees something like CEH or just any certification from EC Council on a resume, it automatically assumes that that individual has a certain skill set. So it helps in the vetting process. It helps employers find actual proper applicants. And then, of course, on those interviews, going into deeper questions and actually asking questions related to that fundamental knowledge. So if it wasn't for EC Council, your foot in the door may not exist for organizations. And so I want to say thank you to upholding a high standard for certifications like the CEH and others for someone like an employer to recognize and, again, get that foot in the door immediately.